I'll segue into Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss here. I've always said that Ole Miss was in the best position because, and any coach will tell you this. If they tell you otherwise, they're not giving you the truth. They would rather be 11-1 or 10-2 with a great resume and not play in the conference championship game rather than play in that extra Saturday when everyone else is sitting and resting. And that's where Ole Miss came in, because as long as Alabama was winning, Ole Miss wasn't getting in. And we'll get to the Texas A&M story in a minute because that's the other one ahead of them. But now that Alabama loses, Ole Miss yesterday in the Lane Kiffin Bowl gets the win. There's teams sitting there with one loss in league play. It's all kind of jumbled up minus Texas A&M. So, Paul, here we go. Ole Miss appears to be on their way to a college football playoff after a dog fight with the Gators last night.
Yeah, and it's just – I mean, Ole Miss has not played at the highest level lately, but they're getting by. And yeah, I don't understand Florida. Let's not waste a lot of time on them. One week they take off, the next week they come back and look like a team that's capable of making a run. But Lane Kiffin is the story right now. And Matt, as the week unfolded last week, the Kiffin rumors started going crazy.
Yep.
And we're not here to discuss rumors, but you could not avoid it. And everybody seems to know something. And he is going to have a difficult time these next couple of weeks dealing with it, because everything seems to be pointing toward Florida. It appears the governor did a good job of taking Lane Kiffin out of the LSU situation. And now, how does he deal with it? And I asked somebody the other day in the circle of people that actually do know, what about the playoffs? And Matt, I heard some crazy stuff about the playoffs. And as important as it is to get to the playoffs, jobs are more important right now. So I'm not saying anything is going to happen or could happen, but I think we might be in for the wackiest postseason we have ever seen.
Yeah, you had mentioned, and I want to know, because midweek something changed. And look, all right, you and I have been around college football for a long, long time. And you and I have been around college football when this was really the only way to communicate. That's changed now. But the message boards, take that for what it's worth, started circulating, and there started to be some smoke. And then people were looking at the bye week for Ole Miss because then they had the egg. I mean, what happened? What changed? Why did this go from just give it some time or he's not going anywhere to there were a lot of people that were foregone conclusion that here come the gate? I don't know, man. It was weird how in the middle of the week this whole thing just flipped.
Well, I think some of it is a result of agents talking to ADs, and I'll try to encapsulate what the message seemed to be. And Matt, the message from this is anecdotally, but that forget the playoffs. These coaches want to get somewhere, and they'll do it at any cost. And I think some of that is the same agents talking, because we're not talking about 100 agents. We're talking about 2 or 3. And I think it seemed to be coming from those camps. And I was with some people in Athens on Friday night. I mean, very, very respected reporters, and they were saying, "Listen, don't be surprised if." And I'll stop right there. And you know why I'm not going any further. But it's like, are you serious? So that I think some of it just gets passed to reporters, who then pass it to people like us, who obviously are passing it to a lot of other people right now. Exactly what is going to happen, I don't know. But I think what they're trying to say is, don't be surprised if unbelievable things start to happen.
Man, let me just swirl that for a minute, because you do all of this in your 6 years in Oxford, 3 consecutive 10-win seasons for a program that is just thirsty to be a part of the dance. Last year, I thought they were probably the second most talented team in the SEC, and they didn't get there. Maybe the third most talented team in the SEC. A bunch of NFL talent running around, they didn't get there. And it appears this year they're going to get there. I just couldn't see, and there's 100% chance I'm wrong here, Paul, but I couldn't see throwing my blood, sweat, and soul into a job for 6 years to get it to this point, only to leave before I get the chance to put this hard work on the field in a playoff bracket. I'm having a hard time comprehending that could even be the case.
I can't either, Matt, but I'll tell you the only reason it's even on the board is because this is Lane Kiffin, and not to sound like I'm arguing in front of the Supreme Court, but there is precedent. And by the way, that precedent from 2016 has absolutely nothing to do with today. Lane Kiffin's not the same coach. He's not the same person. He was an assistant coach then. He's a head coach now. And there's a tremendous difference. I'm going back to when he took the job at Florida Atlantic and ultimately got fired after the semifinal game and before the national championship game, which Alabama ended up losing to Clemson. So I think what you have here, same person, not really, but the same name, I guess. And people are taking a little bit of information and it's metastasizing into something that is surreal. And I will agree with you. I don't believe it will happen.
Yeah, and look, we know he's had an infatuation with the state of Florida since he went to FAU. He had the boat in Boca Raton. He loved the life. Now, having said that, for the geography majors, Gainesville is literally in the middle of the state and landlocked. I mean, you can get to the ocean eventually, but you're going to work for it. I don't know, man. Like I told EJ and Joey yesterday, the algorithm, the damn algorithm is the most powerful thing in social media. And my algorithm on Twitter got into the Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, Florida Twitter type stuff. And the stuff that was starting to get out there, I was sleep deprived getting to my flight Friday morning after my Thursday night game. And the algorithm was just feeding me content. I'm like, this is getting wild. And I don't know how this is going to end. I know Florida people think it's going to end with him in Gainesville. I know Ole Miss people think it's going to end with him in Oxford. There was a couple of reports out there that maybe the Titans were kicking the tires. All I know is this is going to end with two pissed off fan bases, and it's not going to go well. And I'll say this, and we can move on from the Lane Kiffin saga. I would hate, and it's none of my business, it's his choice. I would hate all the goodwill he's built up at Oxford and this new person that he's become and this whole new way that he's lived his life and settled down and his family's moved out there. That could be all undone with one decision. And it'd be different, Paul, if let's just say he goes to Florida. Let's say Florida's because there's just this connectivity with him and the Spurrier and the growing up and just wanted to be that. Let's just say that happens. There would be a way to do it without undoing 6 years of work at Oxford. There would be a way to do it. And I just don't know that it'll happen that way.
I agree. And I mean, the questions could be asked, which fan base hates Lane Kiffin more, Tennessee or Ole Miss? And remember, he was only at Tennessee 1 year.
Yeah.
It was a flyover. This is different. And I am siding with you. And I know that some will say, well, if you're siding with Matt on this, why did you just spend the last 15 minutes talking about it? What we try to do here, Matt, is give folks an idea of what's really being discussed. And I was with one of the most respected reporters in college football the other night in Athens. And he said, this is about to be the story of the year in college football. And I'm like going, okay, maybe we're getting hyperbolic, but that is really, so what we just got through representing isn't manufactured. It's just a representation of where social media is. Now, Lane Kiffin can put an end to it very quickly.
Yeah. And I look, you and I talk to agents. We're around people in college football circles. I think each of us have an idea of what we think will happen. I don't think either of us have an idea of what we know will happen. What we do know is that this is going to be one of the most, put it this way, I hope I'm near a camera in a studio when all of this goes down. Yeah. Put it that way. So we'll move on from that. But a win for Ole Miss. They appear headed to the college football playoff.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch them walk right past.